So this is just a little video to run people through the life of Bendigo, William Bendigo Thompson, Nottingham's working class hero. This video is mainly for the people that do not know what he achieved and what he did, and it's to educate them and try and show them that there's more than just Robin Hood when it comes to the history of Nottingham City. So Bendigo was born in 1811 in an area of Nottingham that was then called the Trinity Slums, which is now Trinity Walk, Trinity Square and surrounding areas. It was described at the time by some as the worst, most condensely populated area of England. It was rife with crime, pesticide, disease, and Bendigo was born triplets and lost his brother and sister before they reached the age of 3, which just sort of shows you how bad Victorian poverty was in Nottingham at that time. Now, Bendigo's father was the sole provider in the house, but unfortunately he died when Bendigo was in his early teens due to, amongst other things, alcohol abuse. He was a massive fan of the poison, and he couldn't keep himself out of the pub. So after he died, Bendigo and his mother were, well, they had no option other than to check themselves into the Nottingham workhouse and basically become slaves, as that's what it was. The conditions were terrible, and it was a massive shame on the Thompson name, even though they lived in the slums, to have to surrender yourself to that, and this affected Bendigo greatly. Bendigo made a promise to his mother that he would get her out of the workhouse, but the problem he had was Bendigo couldn't read or write. He never had the privilege of an education, but what he could do was fight, as he'd found growing up in the slums, whenever it got on top, Bendigo could handle himself. So Bendigo had himself thrown out of the workhouse because of the fancy left hook that he had on him, and after getting out of the workhouse was approached by an oyster seller and basically offered Bendigo a job, as all the other fishermen were being mugged. Bendigo, even at the age of 16, had a reputation that he could handle himself, so he was given a job as a mussel and cockle seller in the streets of Nottingham City. Unfortunately, Bendigo only lasted a week in his new job, as he was quite keen on the stock that he was selling and managed to eat it all. So he was fired, and he then got a job as an iron bender, where he began to build up quite a strong physique. And at this time, Bendigo started very, very low scale prize fighting at fairs for very little money, and quite quickly attracted a lot of attention with his sharp tongue and his showboating in the ring. And a man called Sam Turner spotted Bendigo's talents and requested Bendigo's company for a sparring session and a meeting in a pub in Nottingham City. I'm not going to go into the details of the specific fights that Bendigo had, because it's all in the new book, but it's quite an amazing journey, his rise through the prize fighting ranks, about him being the original southpaw, beating guys 2, 3, 4 stone heavier, beating guys 1.5 foot taller, because of his style, because of his confidence and his rawness. So basically Bendigo eventually became the All England prize fighting champion and an absolute hero to the people of Nottingham. He inspired the people from the Trinity slums. He gave people hope, belief, and that is why he is still spoken about today regularly in Nottingham, and why he has a campaign currently trying to get him a new improved statue in the city centre, because of his time. Bendigo was absolutely enormous, and it is still regarded that the day of Bendigo's funeral is still the largest gathering of people ever in Nottingham city centre. Tens of thousands of people followed Bendigo's hearse from Beeston, the cottage where he retired to, all the way to Nottingham City. And to add a bit of humour into it, the Beeston contingent wanted Bendigo buried in Beeston, but the Nottingham City hardcore said, if you do that, we'll dig him up and we'll bring him back to Nottingham where he belongs and where he's still a hero. So there's a hell of a lot more. There's after his prize fighting. This is time as a Methodist preacher in the Christian church. But like I say, there's a book on his life, and I've run you through the logistics, and this is why Bendigo is, and always will be, a working class hero to the people of Nottingham. So thank you very much for watching the video. Please comment if there's anything you'd like to add or anything you'd like to know. And we are the Bendigo Memorial Fund on Facebook, and we're at bendigofund.co.uk. The story is changing all the time. The support from Australia, where Bendigo has a city named after him, another amazing feature. We get support from all over. So, like I say, anything you'd like to know, just contact the page, and thank you very much.